Hi everyone, and welcome to our Q&A live with Shelley Durd, one of our paramedic licensed educators in Canberra, New South Wales. And Shelley is a registered nurse who's critical care trained and is very, very passionate about supporting local parents in a community. Now, the Q&A that we're doing today is something, as much as we're really passionate about teaching baby and child first aid, prevention is something that we always want to provide some information on. So, Shelley, the question that we have today to you is, what are magnets and batteries, and where could my child be exposed to them?
Hi, Natalie. So batteries and magnets are very common things to have around our homes. And we often worry about them because we think our children are going to choke on them. But there's a very sinister thing that they're hiding underneath all of that as well, is they can be really, really dangerous if your child eats them, sticks them up their nose or in their mouth, because they have a potential to eat through intestines and cause serious damage to your child. And sometimes the symptoms can come on very quickly and they can cause serious harm to your child before you even realize that something's happened. So we just want to make you aware and let you know the dangers that are out there, because magnets and batteries are all around our homes, even in places you wouldn't think, like the musical birthday card, your fob to get in and out of your garage, on your fridge, inside lots of children's toys. If they break open, sometimes they can have tiny little ball-bearing magnets. Adult stress toys, what are those things called that were common? Stress balls. But there was like that thing that used to spin around, I can't think of the name of it, in your hand. It's all made of magnets, and if it breaks and your child ingests those magnets, it can be really, really dangerous. So have a look around your home, figure out where they are, and like we all try and do when we have little ones, is try and keep them out of child's sight and the ability for them to be ingested. And we'll go into why they're so dangerous in the next couple of questions. There you go.
For me, I am a massive science nerd, and one of my favorite passions was chemistry. And I think you're right. When we're talking about the ingestions of batteries or magnets, we often just assume that there is just a choking risk. But what is actually occurring is a chemical reaction. Now, whilst we don't want to go into what the chemical reaction is, the one thing we want everyone to spread the word about, tag friends into this post, share this post to people, is that the risk is more than just choking. There is a chemical reaction that occurs. It happens really rapidly, and we're going to go into this Q&A today. But starting with the basics, can you try and help us in a very simplified way understand why magnets and batteries are so dangerous?
Okay, so I'll break it up into the two sections. So magnets are really dangerous because they have poles. And you know those poles, so there's in the north and the south, they attract each other. They also attract to things that are metal, so iron, steels. And what happens is if your child ingests a magnet and something that is metal, or two magnets, those poles come together, clip together, and potentially, if you swallow one and then the other, in your digestive system, they look for each other, click, go together, and then they sit there in your bowel or near your stomach, and they eat away slowly at the tissue that's sitting there, so that the insides of your guts, basically. And what can happen is it can cause a hole to go through that section of the bowel. And the last thing you want is anything that's inside your digestive system to go outside of your digestive system inside your body, because it causes severe infection and makes your child really, really unwell. So eating one magnet and some metal, or two magnets, can potentially be really, really harmful if that occurs. And also, if that's a strong enough magnet, it can have chemical reactions with your blood. I won't go too much into that. It's very, very extremely rare for that to happen, but that clipping together of magnets does happen in to children in Australia. And we know that it is extensive and life-saving surgery if it happens and they need to go and have that surgery done. And it's something that's so simple to prevent.
It is. And so our next question in regards to this is what...
I'll just do the dangers of batteries. This is different. So with the batteries, this is go time. Like if you see, especially with the button batteries, so the little round ones, if you even think that your child has eaten a button battery, go and take your child straight away to the emergency department. Tell them when you get there, I think my child has swallowed a battery. You will get to the front of the line and you'll go straight into have an x-ray, because it can take less than 2 hours for what I'm going to explain to you next to happen, okay? So batteries, as you know, also have poles. They have a positive and a negative pole, and electricity runs through them. We've all done our science experiments at school, hopefully. With say for example, a AAA battery, they can be quite dangerous if they get stuck in your child's guts and they start to erode and break down, and then they release the chemicals that are inside of the battery, and that causes harm there. That can take quite a long time, and usually, hopefully, your body actually gets rid of that before it happens. But with the button batteries, you have a positive and a negative electrode really close together, and it actually reacts with your blood. So your child, if they swallow it, will become the electrical current, and it'll sit in your child's guts and it will eat away, because it produces a chemical, alkaline, if you want to know, hydroxide, which will eat away at your child's guts. And it can happen really, really fast. And unfortunately, it usually happens really close to the stomach, which is very close to the heart and close to the lungs. And when that happens, it can cause severe bleeding. And if you don't have something done about it really quickly, it will either cause your child serious harm or potentially death. So if you think they've swallowed a battery, you need to go to emergency straight away. Call 000 if you can't get there. And if you're really concerned, you can also, if you've got 2 phones, call 131126 for the batteries or the magnets, and they the Presence lines, and they can give you some guidelines on what to do as well. Don't try and make your child vomit or anything like that. Just get them to help as soon as possible.
Well, that's some invaluable information right there. And I think the more we understand the actual reactions that are occurring, the more empowered to want to prevent these things from happening. And before we move on, Shelley, does it happen very often?
It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. There's been a few cases in the last few years in Melbourne. I know for certain because I used to work there, and there's been there's been a lot of stuff happening on the news about it recently. We've had a child in the last few days who swallowed 32 magnets, one of the little ball-bearing magnets in Melbourne. My thoughts go out to the family. I hope she's doing okay, a little toddler. And I think her sister ate some as well. We're parents. We all know sometimes you just can't avoid these things, but knowing that the potential for harm is there, and doing the right thing. So those parents did the right thing. They got their child to the doctor, to the emergency, and she had her surgery. And as far as I know, she's okay. There has been, I know there was a death in 2016 in Australia from a child who swallowed a battery. And the parents didn't even know until it was too late that she'd actually ingested that battery. And it does happen around the world as well. So the more we take care, there's lots of regulations in Australia now with the use of button batteries, because they've had a lot of campaigns. So anything that could potentially have a button battery usually has the screwdriver access to that battery. But we all know sometimes these things don't work, and it's good to know that it's a potential hazard.
So moving on to the next question, because you shared a very tragic story where they didn't know the signs and symptoms. And I think the scariest part is there isn't many. And a lot of us are really conscious not to waste emergency department times. So basically what I'm hearing here, if we suspect it, we go straight to ED and not to wait for signs and symptoms. But are there any symptoms that are occurring that we can look out for, Shelley?
So quite often, the first thing that they'll experience is some pain. So it's going to be causing some pain in their abdomen, and it'll often make your child want to vomit or seem like they've got gastric pain, because your body's natural reaction is to try and get it out. But with the magnets, there might not be very many symptoms at all. They might even just look like they've got a little bit of gastro sort of symptoms. And pain. With the magnets, did I say the magnets before? The batteries. Sorry, that was the magnets. With the batteries, sometimes the first symptom that you can get is your child vomiting up blood, which would be horrific. But that's how quickly it can work. So it's always a really good idea, and that can happen within 2 hours. They reckon from the minute of ingestion, 2 hours, your child can start vomiting out blood. So it's really fast. So the sooner you get, if you think they have, for any reason, just go and get it checked out.
Yeah, it's definitely super scary, and I think that's why it is so scary, because there's going to be there's no lead up time. So, and this is where it is more than ever one of the things, and prevention is important. Prevention is one of the most common reasons that a child will go to emergency. So we know prevention is important, but prevention is even more important for things where we're not going to see what's happening. It's very different to falling off your bike and making sure that your bike's safe and wearing a helmet. These are things that really we need to get on top of straight away. So the best thing here is prevention. Yeah. Okay, so one of the last questions is, so what treatment is provided if my child was presented after swallowing a magnet or battery?
Okay, so this is another scary one for parents, and I'm sorry to be such a Debbie Downer, but they're going to need extensive surgery. So they're going to have to go under a general anesthetic, and they're going to have a scope either through the mouth or through their bottom to go into their abdominal cavity and remove the foreign object. If it's batteries, they're going to have to make sure that there's no eroding of the intestines. So if there is any breakage, they're going to have to repair that. Sometimes that can even involve having a stoma bag put in for your child, which is awful. So definitely prevention better than cure. And it's not going to be the best couple of days for you, because surgery is never nice for anyone, especially when they're little. So I guess the point we're trying to make here is try and keep all of these things away from your children as much as possible. And just even when you're at your grandparents' houses, I know at the moment, COVID, we're not really visiting our grandparents, but I know my in-laws both wear hearing aids and they have button batteries in them. So as simple as them, they look like lollies. We're just going to eat them. So making sure everyone that is around your children as well as you are aware where these potential hazards are, and trying to keep them away from your children as much as possible. We're not perfect, and a parent medic, we know these things happen, but we're here to just let you know that there is that danger there, and if you can prevent it, the prevention is way better than any cure.
And I think, from the outside, magnets and batteries seem so harmless. I'm always reminding my older children, even in relation to our pets, we don't want the dog accidentally eating a magnet or battery. And I think what it comes down to is it really worth having so much of that in your house in the first place? So if you are purchasing something that requires a magnet or battery, just then making sure it's part of your process of going, well, how are we going to make sure that's safe from our child? Thank you so much, Shelley. We've just got a few final questions. If you do have any comments that you want to make, pop it in the comment box. And if you are watching this later and love to share, please share it with all your family and friends to raise awareness about the dangers of magnets and batteries. Now, Shelley, we do have an online baby and child first aid course that we've created to support our paramedic educators. Would you be able to share people how they can get access to learn more about baby and child first aid?
Okay, so you can go to www.parentmedic.co and look up online baby first aid. We have a fantastic package. It's $49.95. It allows all the members of your household to learn all the stuff that you need to know now to be able to save your child if you have an emergency in your home. And it also gives you some really helpful baby and child health and safety tips. Natalie, our wonderful founder here, has put this package together. It's fantastic. It's very easy to use. There's lots of interesting facts and things in there that will help you to look after your child and make you really comfortable and confident in looking after your child. That's what we're all about at Paramedic, is helping you to feel comfortable with those simple things that you can do to look after your child, and also making sure that you know what to do if there was ever a situation where you needed it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time, Shelley. If you are interested in learning more, if you know someone who's about to have a baby or just had one, bearing in mind they don't have access to the normal services, that online is always an option. It's great for rural, regional. It's just a wonderful service all around that we plan on delivering for a long time to come. Please do share this link, and to show your support for our paramedic licensed educators, you can buy this product directly off Shelley, which will give her some pocket money until we return to normal services. So if you just simply go to www.parentmedic.co, online baby first aid, and you'll see Shelley's beautiful face shining on the webpage. And that's a wonderful way to support your local educators. Thank you so much, Shelley, for your time. And I'm sure this is going to be invaluable information for many, many, many parents.
I hope so. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks.
Bye.